Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Smash Knits Knitting Podcast. We are officially at episode 23 and I am very excited to be here with you today. It has been a hot minute since I have last talked to you guys and I've done quite a bit of knitting. I've got a whip that you haven't seen before. I've got a finished object that I'm wearing that I'm very excited about, and I've got some pretty special acquisitions. So I'm excited to get into it with you today. If this is the first time you're visiting the channel, my name is Ash, aka Smash, and here I just talk about all the lovely things that I knit, acquisitions, and just everything pretty much knitting related. So if that's kind of your thing, feel free to keep watching or subscribe for more videos. Now, before we get any further, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. So usually I like to upload a video every kind of couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm so sorry that I've kept you guys waiting for so long on this one. Life just gets busy sometimes and I've just been going through my own mental health journey. I think if you've probably been watching me for a while, you know that my, mental health ebbs and flows just like anyone else's. And so sometimes I can find it really hard to get on camera and talk to you guys because it takes just a lot of energy to do that. And I have actually filmed this podcast once before, but when I was watching it back, I was just like looked dead behind the eyes. So I really wanted to take some time, take a little break and film it when I actually feel like it, because this is meant to be fun. Now, I won't ramble on too much, but I did just want to mention my Instagram, because if you are wanting more frequent updates or want to see more behind the scenes of some of the whips that I make, I do post more frequently on there. So feel free to follow me on smash.knits over on Instagram. I'll also have that link down below if you're interested. And just like every other podcast, I will have everything, all my projects and the yarn linked down below. I keep all of my projects in my Ravelry Projects page. So if I do leave out any information, I'll have it always linked down there, as well as all of the yarn and everything that I use. I also have a bundle of patterns that feature size inclusive knitting patterns. So if you are a new viewer of this channel, you might not know that I knit exclusively size inclusive patterns here, which cater for up to a 60-inch bust size, sometimes more, but that's usually like my minimum is a 60-inch bust size. Alrighty, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into the finished objects. Now, the first finished object that I have today, and the only one actually I think, is this one that I'm wearing here. This is the Laulu Pullover by Sari Nordland. And it is a DK weight round yoke sweater with this beautiful lace and cable pattern all across the yoke. I know I've got my little mic here, but you can still see this, and I'll insert B-roll so that you can get a close-up view of it. But it's this beautiful, gorgeous pink sweater. I absolutely love it. And I was lucky enough to be able to knit this in Sandnes garn because Yarniecopia, Erica from Yarniecopia, gifted me this yarn as part of their September promo, and it just looks so stunning and I'm so obsessed with it. So the yarn that I use is Sandnes Garn Sunday, which is a fingering weight, and I held that with the Alpakka Følgetråd, which is a lace weight alpaca. So it's 100% merino strand fingering with the 100% alpaca, and it just produced the most lovely lightweight but still warm garment. And I have to say that this is probably one of my most worn jumpers. I wear this all the time, and I've worn this, I can't even count on my hands how many times I've worn this since I finished it, because I am just so obsessed with it. Everything about it is exactly what I wanted in a sweater. So I'm very much in love with this. And I know I say I'm pretty much obsessed with everything, but this particular one I am particularly smitten with because I just think it fits me and it looks so good. I just love it so much. Anyway, so I'll grab the yarn for you so that you can actually see what it looks like. So the Sandnes Garn Sunday, this is the fingering weight merino. They come in 50-gram balls for the Sunday, and then we've got the Alpakka Følgetråd, which is the lace weight, and you can see it's just like a little bit fluffier, but these two together just made this beautiful dream sweater, because you get like the little bit of fluffiness and the drape from the alpaca, but you get the elasticity and the structure from the merino, which is particularly helpful when you're doing the lace work and the cables, because sometimes alpaca can be a bit loose and it's not as forgiving sometimes because it does stretch, whereas the merino, adding that in there just means that when this blocked, it looks so good. It just blocked out so beautifully, but it didn't stretch out too much, where that was one concern that I did have, that it would stretch out a lot, but it's actually perfect, as you can see, and I just love it. I have knit a couple of Sari Nordland patterns. My Lume, which was my first Colorwork sweater, and I'm currently knitting a shawl from there, but this is my first cable knit sweater, actually. Yeah, actually, is that true? Yeah, this is like my first cable sweater that I've done, and I'm very, very happy with it. I think sometimes people can get a little bit intimidated by a round yoke, and if you're not familiar with what a round yoke is, essentially you start at the collar and you knit outwards and in like a even increases, so it looks like round, for example, and then you put some stitches on hold for the sleeves and connect underneath the arms, knit the body, and then you pick up the stitches on the sleeves from those like stitch holders and continue to knitting the arms. Now, unlike a traditional European drop shoulder or a raglan, sometimes there won't be increases or shaping incorporated into the neckline, so sometimes it can feel like it strangles you a bit, but luckily Sari Nordland did give you instructions on how to do short rows once you finish the textured pattern, so that it lifts the neck up so that you don't feel like you're choking, and I think it does a good job. The neck is nice and lifted and there's no issue with it strangling me. As you can see here, I've got like a long sleeve t-shirt under this because I wore this to work today, and so you can see that poking out, and yeah, it sits really nicely and I'm very, very happy with it. Now, I don't know if I mentioned before, but this is a DK weight sweater, and these two together got me like a light DK weight, kind of like almost sport weight gauge. So I ended up going up a size in the needles so that I could meet gauge, and as you can see, I pretty much nailed the sizing, I think. Now, overall, this pattern was really well written and I wasn't really confused at any point. I like previous Sari Nordland patterns I'd read before. It was very clear. All of the lace and cables is charted, but there also is written instructions, I'm pretty sure. But I use the charts because I just find that easy to keep track of and it makes sense in my brain more. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because looking at something like this, I would think that this would be one of those projects where you have to pay 100% attention to the object that you're making and you wouldn't be able to watch TV or anything like that. But that is actually not the case. Because the repeats are actually not that many stitches long, it's actually quite easy to get into the flow and memorize the rows so that you can do things like watch TV. So this was a TV knit for me, and I'm not usually one of those people that can keep good track of charts and stuff like that. But because the repeats are so short, it was just a lot easier to do. For example, like I'm knitting a shawl by Sari Nordland. I can't remember what it's called. I'll insert it somewhere, and that I have to pay full attention to, and that looks less complicated than this. So this is surprisingly easier than it looks, which those are my favorite types of patterns. Now, I did actually make a project vlog on this sweater, so if you're interested in watching the process of me making this and definitely struggling with a few elements such as the collar, which I'll get into in a second, then I would definitely recommend you watch that. I'll have the link at the end of this video, and I'll also have it down in the description box below, or if you just click on my YouTube channel, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. But yeah, I did actually make a vlog of me knitting this whole jumper, which is pretty cool. It's like one of my first project vlogs, and I'm definitely still new to vlogging, but if you're interested in a project vlog, go check that out. Like I said before, I struggled a little bit with the color. This was no issue in regard to the actual pattern, more to do with me. Usually when I would knit a a circular yoke sweater, I would cast on, but I would do like a provisional cast on so that later, once I had knit the entire length of the folded collar, because it is a folded collar, I would put those provisional cast on stitches onto another needle, fold it inside itself and knit two together all the way around, kind of connecting it. I tried to do that multiple times with this particular jumper, and I just kept stuffing it up. I think what was happening is I wasn't doing enough like stockinette rows, and I was going straight into the ribbing, and so when I would like transfer the stitches and try and knit them together, it just like did not work. Yeah, I really struggled with that, so if you want to see me struggle real time, definitely check out that vlog. But I ended up getting really sick of trying to do it after the third attempt, that I just decided to cast on normally, doing a long tail cast on and then sew it down later, and that's what I did. And I didn't do like the best job of sewing it down, but it definitely worked and doesn't look too holey, so I'm pretty happy with that. As you can see on the collar, this is 2x2 ribbing. Actually, the collar for my size isn't 2x2 ribbing, it's something like a mix of 2x2 and 1x2 ribbing, just because the ribbing has to be able to flow into the cable design, and for certain sizes like my size, which was the size 7, you have to do that kind of like hybrid 2x2 and 1x2 ribbing. It's a lot easier when you read it, but that's just how it is. However, on all of like the other ends, like the cuffs and the bottom, you just got normal 2x2 ribbing. This particular pattern doesn't have a split hem, and for once I actually didn't put a split hem in this, and I'm glad I didn't do that because I think it fits perfectly without the split hem. I knew this was going to be kind of more cropped, so I wanted to make sure that I could kind of tuck it into high-waisted pants and stuff like that, so not having the split hem helps me do that. Also, one thing I do like about 2x2 ribbing, which I probably mentioned before, is I find it a lot easier to finish a garment with 2x2 ribbing because I don't have to do a Italian bind off. And so for most of my 1x1 ribbing, I prefer to do a tubular or Italian bind off because it looks like seamless, like the stitches perfectly finish, I guess, in formation. And this is what Sari Nordlund wants you to do in this pattern for the 2x2 ribbing. To do that, you have to rearrange the stitches so that you can do it by 2x2 ribbing. And personally, every single time that I've seen this done, I just think it looks messy and I don't particularly like it. Not saying that anyone does a bad job of it, I just think the particular technique of using tubular bind off or Italian bind off on 2x2 ribbing just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look like it's made for 2x2 ribbing. And I much prefer to do a cast off in rib because I think it looks a lot cleaner, and I've done it on here, as you can see, and I think that looks fine, and it's stretchy enough as well, like it's not stretchy. Yeah, I think that looks way nicer than the tubular bind off on 2x2 ribbing, and it's way easier because it's just a knit bind off, so you get it done really quickly. So like I mentioned before, the yarn that I'm using for this one is this gorgeous Sandnes garn yarn, and I was very lucky to be gifted this in collaboration with Yarniecopia. And if you're not familiar with Yarniecopia, they essentially work with luxury yarn brands to bring them to Australians and New Zealand. So you can order online through them and order things like Sandnes garn. Coming up, there'll be some other yarn that you'll be able to order soon. Each kind of month or so, they will feature a new luxury brand. So for instance, September, it was Sandnes garn. Before that, they did Bijou Bouche. And if you stay tuned, you'll be able to see what's coming up for October, November. I've worked with Sandnes garn before, and I've worked with the Sunday base, this one here. I actually used it in one of my vests. I think it was the Staffen vest by the Crea Bayer, and I held that with some mohair, and it was really nice to work with. I really do like the Sunday, and they come in a great variety of colors. Obviously this one is so fabulous. This is shocking pink. Every single time I wear this jumper, the first thing people comment on is the color, because it is this fabulous bright pink, and it's just so great. I love it so much. Now, surprisingly, I didn't actually use as much yarn as I thought I would. So for the Sandnes garn Alpakka Følgetråd, you get 400 meters per 50 grams. And because of that, I use only 3.56 skeins, or 1,424 meters, which usually I use at least 1,600 meters in a sweater. So this sweater being like around 1420 meters is really good for me. And then out of the Sunday, because this one is in 50 gram balls and you get 235 meters, I use 6.26 skeins or 1,472 meters. So definitely within that 1,400 to 1,500 range for the size 7. That is very economical. Usually I use, like I said before, if I'm using a DK, at least 1,600, sometimes 1,700. So to get that under 1,500 meters and get a full like long sleeve sweater, and it's not even that cropped, it's like goes pretty far. I'm very happy with that. And then, like I said before, I did have to size up for the needles. So for all of the ribbing and the lace and cable section, I used a 3.25 millimeter needle. And then for all the stockinette, I use 3.75. Yeah, so that's pretty much wraps up this jumper. I have been wearing this quite a lot, and because I have been wearing it a lot, I went to the city and walked around a lot in it. It has started to pill a little bit. I have depilled it once, and so far it's looking pretty good. I think the initial wear always moves around or irritates like the loose fibers, and that's when you get the most pilling. But after I've depilled it once, it's holding up really well. It hasn't pilled at all like on the chest. It's more the stockinette areas or the parts under my arm that starts to pill, but that kind of happens with every single jumper I own. My arms touch my body a lot, but it's not pilling more than any other kind of merino alpaca that I've used in the past. Again, thank you so much to Yarniecopia for gifting me this yarn so that I can make this amazing jumper. If you would like to stay up to date with the latest collaborations from Yarniecopia, I definitely encourage you to join their mailing list. I'll have that link down below because that's when you get the latest updates. Alrighty, so that is my one and only finished object for today's podcast, but I do have some really fantastic whips that I am very excited to show you. The first whip that I want to show you, I briefly mentioned on my last podcast, and that is my Clara collar cardigan by Famke, or Mippy the label. And this is this gorgeous red beauty here. Oh, so beautiful. It looks really funky because it's a cardigan, so it's kind of hard to show. But the last time you saw this, I think I had almost finished, I'd finished one sleeve, I think, and I was making progress on my other sleeve. Now I have finished both of the sleeves. They're these beautiful big balloon sleeves, and I have actually picked up and made the lace collar, which I think looks so cute. The lace collar is what initially drew me to this project, so the fact that I finally got there to do it, I am ecstatic. It's so, so cute. So cute. So if you're not familiar with the Clara collar cardigan, it is an Aran weight cardigan with the scalloped lace collar, and it has balloon sleeves. It's worked from the top down. It's a traditional European drop shoulder, so you start at the back, make kind of like a trapezoid shape, and then pick up stitches along the shoulder sections to make these little shoulder flaps. And then you knit down, connect under the arm, so on and so forth. So the yarn that I'm using for this is a combination of the Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Red Currant, and I'm holding 2 strands of this. This is a fingering weight, and then I'm holding this with the Chaska Aqu Lace in the color 1004, which I think is just called Red. And this is a like alpaca lace, so it's 75% suri, 25% silk, and it's super soft, super lovely, fluffy, but honestly not as fluffy as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it would fluff up a lot more, but maybe because I'm holding it with like a DK weight, maybe with a fingering it might be a bit fluffier, but I thought it would be a little bit fluffier, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, holding those 3 together to create a Aran weight gauge, which is about 16 stitches per 10 centimeters for this jumper. So although I feel like this would be quite quick to knit up, because I've just delayed it and focused a lot on this and some other projects, I just haven't gotten through this as much as I have wanted. But I've picked it back up and my motivation has been rekindled because of this just like such a cute, gorgeous lace collar. I'm assuming that once this blocks out, it'll look more scallopy, but so far I really like it. Yes. So I've pretty much nearly to the end. The only thing I have left to do is I've got to pick up stitches along the button band to create a double knit button band, which I'm kind of nervous about because I've never done double knitting at all. So doing a double knit button bands where there's going to be like holes and stuff, I'm a little bit intimidated, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So far this pattern has been excellently written, so I'm sure I will get through it and it'll be thoroughly explained. And then after you do that, I would assume that you pick up stitches along the collar to do the ribbing, because there's like a little bit of ribbing along there. Like I said before, this is knit on quite a large gauge, so I'm using 5mm needles for the body. For the lace collar I use 4.5mm, and then for like the hem ribbing or the ribbing I'm using a 4mm, and all of the ribbing is like half twisted rib, which is really nice. And one feature which I think I've showed you before is that it's got like a lateral braid along the cuff, which is really cute. So that's my quick update for the Clara collar cardigan. I really wish I had have paid more attention to it and stuck it out and gotten this finish before I started some of my other whips, because it's getting quite warm now and I don't think I'll be able to wear it in the near future. So this is something I'm probably going to have to wait and save for autumn, which will be in like March, around my birthday. Maybe I'll be able to wear it to I think the Australian Yarn Show is going to be in Canberra, and hopefully it's going to be in March. It's actually my birthday weekend when that show is on, and I'm hoping to wear it there. Hopefully the weather's not too warm and I can wear my knits, because this would be so cute. And I have like a vision in my head of wearing this with like a beautiful white sundress and some red shoes. I just think it'll be so cute and feminine and sweet. And I'm very excited to get this off my needles. So this next whip I have pretty much finished, and you have not seen any of it on this channel. Now, if you do follow me on Instagram, then you would have seen updates of this, but so far on YouTube, you guys have seen none of it. And that's because this has been my go-to whip. I've just been a bit like mentally exhausted. I've just not had the mental capacity to really take on another complicated knit. So I've just been grabbing this all the time because I can just easily zone out, watch TV and work on it. And that is my Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. And I will show you now because, like I said before, I've pretty much finished it at this point. So I'll stand back so you can see. So here it is. Oh. Now this is the baby blanket size, as you can see here when I say I'm almost finished. And I've just started the I-cord edging, but there are 24 squares here. It's 6x4 and I'm just so obsessed with it. This is a baby blanket, not for myself, but for my friend. She is having her first kid and she doesn't know the gender of it. So I wanted to kind of pick really random kind of rainbow colors so that it would kind of suit any color scheme or anything that she wanted. And I'm so in love with it. I really didn't think I would have as much fun knitting this as I do, because I did knit the in the background here you can see I've knit the Stella quilt cushion, and that was fun, but it did feel kind of like a slog. This one, however, it doesn't feel like a slog at all. I'm having lots of fun with this. If you're not familiar with the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, it is a garter stitch blanket where you make each individual square using short rows, and you pick up stitches as you go to connect them all. So you don't have to sew any together. You just pick up stitches as you go to connect them all, and it creates this really cool triangle pattern. I really love how garter stitch looks. I'm definitely one of those people who loves garter stitch. And yeah. Now you can do any kind of colors you want. She does encourage you to use scrap yarn or like minis or things like that. That's what it was originally designed for. But because I really wanted particular colors, I decided to get the yarn and use all of the same yarn. So this yarn is the Bellissimo 100% Merino Extra Fine 8, and it is a 8-ply because it's an 8-ply pattern. And it is 100% merino wool. You get 125 meters per 50 grams. So it looks like, where is it? Looks like this. So this is the cream color that I'm working with. Now, like I said before, there are 24 squares. I've used 8 colors 9 colors technically, is it? Or 8 colors? 8 contrasting colors plus the main color. And I'll have everything linked down in the description below because I'm not going to list out every single color for you here, but I will have them all in the link for this project page and in the description. So if you're wondering what the colors are, I'll have it all listed there. But essentially we've got like this beautiful kind of burnt orange color, like a kind of warm tone light pink. We've got a purple, like a denim blue, a chartreuse green, like a salmon-y pink, and then we've also got the yellow, and finally we have like this beautiful eucalyptus kind of aqua color, which is really, really pretty. This kind of pattern is definitely something that is very over-engineered, but in a good way. So there's 4 different types of triangles. You've got like the starting triangle, and then you've got a triangle that you use when you connect something on the left side or the right side, because obviously you're picking up stitches and you want to maintain that triangle pattern. And then you also have one where you're joining, like if you were doing this one, for example, where you connect it to the bottom and to the side. That is the most common type of triangle that you will do. And so most of the time you're using either like the connecting on the right side or the one where you connect to both. And because you're doing this so often, you do kind of memorize the instructions and it becomes quite simple. When you first look at the pattern, it does seem very overwhelming, but if you just take it step by step rather than trying to comprehend it all at once, it will be a lot easier and a lot less overwhelming. Like I said before, each square is made up of short rows. So if you are particularly new to short rows, like you've done it before, but you want to get more confident in it, this is a great pattern to be able to practice that. If you haven't done short rows at all, like never ever, I don't know if I would recommend this, just because it is a lot of short rows and it might seem a bit overwhelming. But if you have at least one kind of practice of short rows under your belt, I feel like you could definitely make this blanket. Each triangle is meant to use between 8.5 and 9 grams. She gives you like a leeway of 10 grams so that you can use essentially 2 minis will give you 2 triangles, and I'm on gauge for that. So when I first started knitting these, I weighed my squares, and each one weighed about 8.8 per triangle. So I'm definitely on gauge, and that's how I've created this size here. All of this is knit with the same size needle, which is a 4mm needle, and I've done all of the squares. So now I'm just moving on to doing the I-cord edging. Now you don't have to do an edging. She does get you to slip each of the stitches along all of the edges. So if you did just want to leave it like that, you can, but because where I join, I don't know, I feel like it looks a little bit messy around the top, like a little bit unfinished, not messy, but unfinished. I decided that I was going to do the I-cord edging, which is what that looks like there. But I'm kind of looking at it and it's kind of looking messier than if I just had left it. So you can see like there's some stitches here that look a bit, I don't know if that'll block out. Let me know what I should do, because I'm a bit kind of miffed with this. Like even when like the edges, it's just kind of curling in. When I first started picking up stitches for the I-cord bind off, I did it with the right side facing me, and it left all these little those kind of jagged bits. So now when I'm doing it with the wrong side facing me. Yeah, wrong side facing me, so that it looks like that on the other side. But you can see there's like a couple of loose stitches and it just doesn't look as clean as I want it to look. So I don't know, maybe should I keep going? Or should I just like scrap it and just like scrap the I-cord, not the whole thing, and just leave it the raw edge as it is? I don't know. I'm not good at crocheting, so if I was like good at crocheting, then I would probably do like a crochet border, but I just don't know how to do that. So maybe I just need to change my needle size, go up a size, and maybe that'll make it a bit looser. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but this I don't need to finish until the 9th of November because that's when she's having the baby shower. But until then, I can decide on what I want to do. The I-cord isn't taking as long as I thought it would, so I think I'll be okay if I do decide to rip it back now and try something else. But if you do have any recommendations, I would very much appreciate it, to like alternative edging or just advice on how to get a neater I-cord. I do want to talk about the yarn a little bit more. Like I said, it's the Bellissimo 100% merino extra fine 8-ply, and I haven't used this before. I have had in my stash because I had some gifted to me for like Christmas or birthday or something like that, and I've heard always good things about it, but I just had never gone out of my way to use it, and I really like it, especially for garter stitch. It's really squishy, it's nice and soft. It is machine washable on like a soft cycle at 30 degrees, and yeah, I really enjoy knitting with it. I don't know, because the way that it's spun, if I would like it in stockinette. Sometimes some yarns, if they're spun quite like, oh, my hair's in it. If they're spun, I don't know if that's going to show, but if they're spun kind of like in that loosish wave, it makes it look like when you're looking at the V's, one straight and one is like one straight and one like that. I don't particularly like that, so I wouldn't use this in stockinette. However, in garter stitch, I think it's squishy, it's soft, it's really lovely, and it looks really even. So I'm very much impressed with this, and if I make any other garter stitch projects and I don't want to hold like a lace and I just want merino, I would definitely consider using this because it's really lovely. Also, something else I wanted to mention in regards to these garter stitch short row patterns that Laura Penrose has. Like I said before, I knit this one here, the Stella quilt cushion, and then I've knit the Sweet Shop blanket, both using pretty much the same techniques. And for my quilt cushion, I used like a bunch of different yarns, and whereas my Sweet Shop blanket, I've used the same yarn. And I definitely felt like when I made this, it was just kind of wonky and all over the place. My gauge was a mess because each of the yarns were just slightly different weights. Even though they were all 8-ply, you know, they weren't even. Not all 8-plies are equal. And so I just felt like some of the squares were coming out a bit wonky and weird with that one. Whereas like with this, because I'm using all the same yarn, it is very uniform and very nice. So it just kind of like looks for me a bit neater than that one, and it's a lot easier to gauge or pick up stitches and not have the squares be distorted because it's all using the same yarn, so my gauge is consistent across the whole project. I guess in the future I do want to make a Sweet Shop blanket with a lot of my scrap yarn, so I know that there's going to be some, you know, tension differences, but I wonder if now, because I'm a more experienced knitter, that it might not be as prevalent or obvious than when I knit this when I was kind of a bit newer to short rows. Alrighty, moving on to the next one. I've got my next one in my little, I don't know if I've showed you this project bag before, but I sewed this project bag. It's so cute. I think I have showed it to you. Anyway, in here are my Colorwork, I keep calling them Colorwork Cuff Club, but they're actually just the Cuff Club Volume 2 by Summer Lee. Last time I showed you this, I think I had just restarted this Colorwork cuff, and I might have been going into the heel, but I've now finished one whole sock and I have blocked this sock. And this is kind of a fail for me, which I'm sad to say, because this pattern was actually gifted to me by the lovely Michaela from Stitches and Stem. If you don't know who she is or haven't seen her podcast before, she is absolutely fabulous. She is an amazing Irish knitter who just makes the most beautiful and inventive garments. And she's one of those people who are like, if she has something in her head and she wants it that way, she will like rip back and do it again until it's perfect, and I admire that because I'm just too lazy to do that. But anyway, she gifted me this pattern because she really enjoyed me making last year's, because this is volume 2, like I said, and there was a volume 1, and that was all colorwork cuff. The volume 2 this year is a mix of like colorwork and textures, which I don't know how I feel about yet, but yes, she was very kind and gifted that to me, so I was very keen to cast on, and so I did the chart for August, and that's this one, and it's this kind of like tulipy flower pattern. In her samples that she's made, she made one kind of similar like this, but in like pink, where it's just the 2 colors, and then she also made one where she did 3 colors, where like the stem was green, the flower was red, I think, or pink or something, and the main color was cream, and that looked really, really pretty, but I just am not that, I thought I was more advanced at colorwork knitting than I actually am, and this sock definitely humbled me because when I tried to do the 3-color one, it just looked not very good. And then I thought, oh yeah, I'll do the 2-color one, but even then, like after I've looked at it, you can see my tension is just, it's shit, to be honest. My tension's crap. Like you can see right here, these weird ripply bits, which I've never had with my colorwork before, for some reason in this pattern, and this is blocked, is doing that. And it's really annoying me, and I'm really disappointed, and I don't know how to fix it. A few people have mentioned to me that when I do my colorwork knitting on socks that I should like have my cuff inside out, and that will help with tension. So I think I'll try that in future ones. But right now, because this is my second attempt at this sock and I've knit the whole sock and I just don't like it, I'm not going to continue knitting this, and that's just it. One of my goals this year was to be ruthless, and I'm being ruthless with this sock, and I'm not going to make a second one. I'm going to stick with just making this one. I don't know if I'll even frog it. We'll see. But I don't know, just something about it just really ticks me off that it doesn't look good. And you're probably thinking, like from far away, you're probably like, what are you talking about? This looks fine. But for me, who's made a lot of colorwork socks and I've never had this issue, this just bothers me for some reason. Part of me also thought maybe it's the yarn. So the yarn that I'm using for this one is the Twisted Ambitions Sweet Sock in the color Sunrise, which is this amazing fluoro kind of peachy orange. And then the other color is the Rosarius for Maya in the color 25. And this is a sport weight, and this is a fingering weight, and this is quite a like a tightly wound fingering weight, I should say. Part of me thought that maybe it's because these are such different weights that it's not translating well when I'm doing the colorwork, but I have used this with fingering before and I haven't had that issue. I've used this for like quite a few of my socks, and I like using the 5-ply because I just think it fills out the colorwork better. So I don't know. So it might be that. Tell me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm just not loving it, and I feel like this is a fail for me, which is sad, but it happens, you know. You can't win them all. You can't be great at everything, and sometimes it's good to be humbled. Oh, and in case you hadn't seen any of my other previous colorwork socks that I knit, I do go up a size in my needle. I go up to a 2.75 versus a 2.25 when I do the colorwork. And again, I've knit plenty of colorwork socks, never had an issue. This is the first one that's given me strife. But I am curious to know what other colorwork charts that she does do this time around. I know she's coming out with a new book, and I think that's all based around colorwork, so I think that's why there are less colorwork charts in this cuff volume. Sorry if the setup is a little bit different. My camera died, so I had to change batteries, and I'm filming it like after work, so if the looks a little bit dark, I'm trying to get this in before the sun sets. Anyway, I think I was talking about Summer Lee's Cuff Club currently. Yeah, I'm kind of at the moment not thrilled with the month so far, but I have hope that in the future she will come up with a bit more interesting stuff and hopefully some more colorwork charts, and I can give it another go, because so far I'm just a little bit not disappointed, but just not over the moon. Nothing's grasped my attention yet that I'm like, I have to make that like the last volume did. But like I said, there's so much of the year left to go, from August to next year to August. So I'm sure there'll be something in there that I will fall in love with and be so excited to show you, because I have quite a bit of speckled yarn that would actually work well with more textured cuffs. So maybe that'll be my next one. Now that wraps up the whips, and now I get to go into the acquisitions, which I am very, very excited for. I've got two very special acquisitions that I'm very excited to show you. Like I mentioned before, I have collaborated with Yarniecopia previously in September for Sandnes Garn, and now for the October-November period, I have been very kindly gifted some Cardiff Cashmere for their Christmas collection by Erica at Yarniecopia. So thank you so much, Erica. This is amazing. Like, when you think of luxury yarn, I feel like Cardiff Cashmere is like at the top, like if not the top. So to be gifted some of this just absolute stunning yarn, I'm over the moon and just forever grateful. But I'll show you what I got. It like comes kind of packaged like these beautiful kind of box of bright blue chocolates. Oh, that there is a tag that they give you, but anyway, Yes, here it is. This is so beautiful. So I got the color Zar, which is this amazing bright kind of like electric royal blue, and I got it in the classic weight, which is the DK weight, and it's so beautiful. I'm so obsessed with this color. It looked vibrant online, like the Sandnes Garn ones, they like yarns, they look vibrant online, but sometimes they can seem a little bit duller in person. But this is like really bright, and it's just as bright in person, and it's so beautiful. So I was lucky to be gifted approximately 12 balls to make a garment out of, and I'm just so obsessed. It's so beautiful. And this color is called Zar, and the color number is 666. It's so beautiful. It's like soft and lightweight. I've seen quite a lot of people use this, and they always say it's so soft, it's really luxurious, and it's nice and lightweight, which makes sense because cashmere is known to be like soft and, you know, less likely to peel and durable. So I'm not surprised that so many people love it. Now, Cardiff Cashmere is actually an Italian company, so all of their yarn is made in Italy, and it is 100% cashmere. It's just so beautiful. I'm so lucky and so fortunate that I have this channel, and it gives me opportunities like this where I can accept, you know, gifted yarn that I usually wouldn't be able or just able to justify to myself because I already have so much yarn. But I am very excited to use this. I already have a few ideas. One idea I was thinking of was the Very Varied vest. I made that previously, but I was thinking of doing like the open front one with like cute little I-cord ties. But then I thought, oh, I've got quite a bit more than what like a vest needs. So maybe I could make the Lusk tee by Clara. And my thought behind that was that I could knit the whole body first, and then depending on how much I have left over, I might have enough to make sleeves. And that way I can kind of make it look like a lightweight sweater out of it, maybe. So that's kind of what my plan is to do. And then if I have any left over, then I want to kind of get creative and make maybe little embellishments on the tee to make it a little bit more exciting. But I'll get more into that when I actually start knitting it. But that's kind of, I've got lots of ideas in my head because this color is so fabulous. So just making anything simple and stuck in it in this is really going to pop, and I'm excited to see how it knits up in a garment. I've heard that once you knit it up, cashmere gets even stronger. So I'm very excited to see how this goes. Now, if you would like to get yourself some beautiful cashmere for Christmas, then I would highly recommend heading over to the Yarniecopia website. They will have every base in every color available to you. Now, there are some minimum order quantities. So for example, for all the bases except for prime, because prime is like their lace weight, there is a minimum order quantity of 10 balls, but for prime it's only 5 balls. And the way that it works is that, like, obviously the pre-order is open from now until the 16th of November, but the sooner you Actually, a correction, the way that it works is when you place your order, Cardiff Cashmere reserve the stock, that way it prevents any future delays. But orders are expected to arrive around like early to mid-December. Again, I just cannot wait to start knitting with this. I usually, you know me, I love to swatch. I'm a big swatcher, and I have actually knit up swatches already, but I haven't blocked them yet, and I'm kind of in the mood to be like, stuff it, let's just cast on, because it's so pretty and I'm so tempted, but I'm trying to restrain myself and block it with the right needle size so that I'm not going to make a completely oversized or undersized garment. Now, the second and the last acquisition I have for you is actually again to do with Yarniecopia, but it's not necessarily like a brand that they're featuring. It's actually a collaboration between Yarniecopia and We Are the Wool People. One of my other podcasting friends, Ali from Fiberbound, recently released her first sock pattern called the Soroto sock. And it's this really lovely kind of textured sock pattern that has kind of like jagged 2x2 ribbing. And so it creates this kind of really cool checkerboard effect. And so a way to kind of celebrate her pattern release, as well as do something fun for like everyone in the Yarniecopia community, Erica and Elsa decided that they were going to dye up some yarn in some colorways. So the colorways are actually based on like mood boards that each of us did. So there was like me, Ali, Two Pals in a Pod, Elsa, of course. So everyone had their kind of own mood board that they put together, or kind of color ideas or color story, I guess you could say. And Elsa and Erica dyed them up. And my mood board, I'll put it up so you can see, was very like pink lemonade inspired. It was very like pink and yellow. Those were kind of the vibes that I got, because it was going to be like a main skein and then like a mini skein. And I also got this Labubu. If you saw my last podcast, you would have seen that I got this Labubu. I actually bought this from the Pop Mart website, but I bought this one like secondhand, and then I actually bought another one. Anyway, we'll get into that. Anyway, I bought this one and it's so cute, and it's pink and yellow, so I wanted something that matched this Labubu. I know Labubus are kind of like a dead trend now, but I don't really care. I love a dead trend. I don't really care. I really like them because they're kind of ugly cute. They're not for everyone. John hates them and thinks they're creepy. Whatever. Anyway, this is called Maple because she kind of is the same color as the rosy maple moth, which you would have seen on my mood board. And so that was kind of vibes that I was going. And I must say, Elsa and Erica absolutely nailed it, because this is the sock set that I got delivered to me. And holy moly, isn't this just perfect? It's this beautiful, light, cool tone yellow with this amazing bright neon pink. And I just think these look absolutely fantastic together, and I'm very excited to cast on this sock. I have not wound this yet because I've been waiting to show you guys, but all I want to do is cast on this sock because I know it'll be so pretty. And yeah, and they just nailed it. Like, is that not the most perfect like matching set? Like, isn't that amazing? I just cannot wait to cast on this sock. I am very, very keen. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to be doing a cowl. So stay tuned for that, because we'll do a cowl, and you might be also able to order your own sock set. So this will be like my sock set, and there'll be, you know, Elsa's sock set, so on and so forth, from the Yarniecopia website. So if you like this, you might be able to get your hands on that too. So keep an eye out, more information soon. And I should also say it's 75% Aussie merino wool superwash, and then 25% nylon. Alrighty, so that is everything yarn related. It's getting quite dark now. I'm pretty sure the sun is literally about to set, but now I'll just kind of get into life updates. If you don't want to stick around for life updates, totally fair. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next videos. But yes, I'll give it into a quick little, you know, live update. On my last podcast, I did ask you guys to name this Labubu, my little blue Labubu. So many of you guys had such good ideas, but one in particular, I cannot remember the username, but I will have it up on the screen, had, I think they said like shark or jaws or something like that. And that inspired me because I loved this movie as a kid. This was like all when like 3D movies were the thing. 3D movies had like a total kind of their own era in early movies, like Spy Kids and stuff like that. Everyone loved a 3D movie. So I remember going to the movies and seeing Shark Boy and Lava Girl, and I love that. That was like a young Taylor Lautner. Absolutely was obsessed with that movie. Now looking back at it now, the CGI is terrible, but I still have like nostalgia for it. Anyway, I thought, oh, this is a little blue guy. We can call him Shark Boy. And then I thought, oh, well, Shark Boy needs a Lava Girl. And so I got this one. And so now I've got Shark Boy and Lava Girl. It's absolutely ridiculous and very overconsumption-ish, but that's it. That's all I will buy. I've got these three. These are my three Labubus, and that is it. But yes, so I've got Shark Boy, Lava Girl, and Maple. Yes, and they just live on my bag. I'm going to make little sweaters for them. It's very much just like something that's just bringing me joy and not at all a necessity. Other updates that I've got, I usually don't actually go into much detail at the end of my videos, but I thought, why not? Why not? You know, why not? We're doing stuff differently. Is I recently have gotten out of my reading slump, which is so nice. I don't think I've enjoyed a book in like a year, and that's mostly because I've been committing my life to knitting, and I can't knit and read as much as I would like to do that. And so I recently read Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, and it's like a romantasy. It's not smutty, like it's, so don't expect smut. It is like a you know, I would say like MA rated, like young adult fiction. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I rated it like a 4. A 4 is high, like it's an 8 out of 10, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the world building in it. I enjoyed the relationship between the characters. At no moment when I read the book did I feel like, oh, this is a bit cringe. No, it was good, solid read. It was 500 words and I finished it within 2 weeks easily. And I'm not a fast reader, so I really did enjoy it. So that was really good. And then I have recently been listening to a new podcast and that's been really good. I'm probably like the last person on the planet to actually listen to this podcast. It's very, very popular, and it's No Such Thing as a Fish, and it's from like the creators of QI. If you're not familiar with QI, it's a British quiz show where like Stephen Fry used to host it, and comedians come on and they play like essentially it's like a general knowledge fact quiz. But it's the creators behind that made this podcast, and each week there's 4 of them, and they show up with a fun, interesting fact, and they discuss it, and it's really good. And like I said, it's a very popular podcast. Like each episode has like 100,000 listens, and I'm very slow to the game, but now I have 600 episodes to get through, and I've been thoroughly enjoying it. So if you're looking for a good new podcast and you like fun random facts about anything, then I would highly recommend There's No Such Thing as a Fish. Alrighty, so that pretty much wraps it up. I'm very happy to be back and to talk to you guys. I missed you guys a lot, and I hope you guys missed me. But I'm keen to get back into the swing of things. I have a few videos lined up that I think you'll like. And yeah, I will catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.